Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the PSSL Creative Group's 7th meeting. Just to give you a very brief introduction to the non-members of the Creative Group, just to give a very brief introduction, this was formed to actually fill a vacuum that was there in the interest groups, which there wasn't any group that was looking into the creative aspects of the photographic medium. And though we had one functioning for a short time earlier, it was hijacked by the fashion and glamour group at some point in time. So we actually created this about 8 months ago in July last year. It's a forum where we are trying to help each other. We do our own creations, and we also share these in our Facebook group. We have two groups of mediums of communication. One is the Facebook page, and then we also have a WhatsApp group. WhatsApp is mainly to communicate information about what's happening, but the discussions and sharing of images is done on the Facebook group, so that each thread, there is a continuity in what is being discussed, and it's easier to follow. When somebody submits an image to the Facebook group, the page, what we want the other members to do is not to say like, but to critique it. Critiquing is actually to tell what is good about that image and what that the other member thinks can be areas which can help to improve the quality of the image, or the aesthetics of the image, or the presentation of the image, or the technicalities of the image. So there is a lot of discussion, lot of help that is being given to each other to improve. So it's a forum where we create, critique, and cooperate. We have we started off with actually looking at there are three areas that we are looking at in a broader sense. One is the in-camera techniques which you can use without any post-processing to create creative images. And we went through a series of these things in the first 3 to 4 months. And during that period, we ran a challenge, a fortnightly challenge, where each member was asked to use the camera technique and post images. And the others critiqued it and gave feedback. So there was a process that went on from 1st of September to the end of November. We went through zooming, panning, intentional camera movement, spinning of the camera, double exposures, and creative setups. Then we came into kind of a mixed bag of things, including any other improvements through Photoshop or any other program. In the previous challenges, we didn't allow any post-processing. It was purely based on camera. And then we went into the camera plus post-processing. So the second area that we looked at is the post-processing part of it. And we ran through a series of sessions specifically only for the PSSL Creative Group members to demystify Photoshop, because a lot of us are very wary about getting doubling in Photoshop because of the complexity that they think is there. So what we tried to do was to demystify it and unravel some of the capabilities that are there to kind of get thought processors to accept that this is not a very difficult thing to manage. But once you get to know the tools and the things that can be done, then you will intuitively go in doing those things. So we have done the first series, which ran for 6 sessions, 6 consecutive weeks, every Monday. And then based on that, we also ran a challenge where the members were asked to post pictures of what they had taken without any editing, and then with the post-processing, whatever they had done, so that there is a comparison between what was the original picture and the process picture. Thereafter, we are going into another level where some of the sample images that were shared with the members are to be used along with any image or any images that the members have captured, combine them and make composite images. So this is the latest thing that we are doing. It's a kind of a challenge. It's challenging ourselves to do things new. So this is the way that we are actually progressing, trying to be creative in thinking the way that we are doing things and also doing creative things. In this 6-7 months, we had a very interesting series of presentations at the monthly meetings, very divergent areas. We started off with Manju, who presented some of her work, pure creativity to the limit. And one of the images, the image that was actually put in the flyer, is the one that won the gold medal this year. And that was shown to us in the kind of the pre-production time before she completed the whole thing. Then Laya did a series of his creative experiments. George went into another level in explaining about the various techniques that he has used and camera details, etc. Mahin came in with another mind-boggling series of images. And then, of course, there was Food for Creativity, which was done by Naomi. And then the very strategic and the thought process that goes into creating creative photography was done by Sandeep Pellara last month. And today, we are continuing with the same momentum. And we have Ruchira Edirisinghe, who's a member of the PSSL I think he joined about 3 years ago. He joined PSSL to actually learn about, I think, landscape photography and travel photography, but his interest has digressed and is kind of got encouraged to do various other things, including creative work. And he posted a few very interesting, very new kind of things that he had done. So without taking too much time, let me ask Ruchira to take us through this process of what he did and what he has come up with, and the presentation is titled Experiments and Learning, My Creative Photography. Ruchira, over to you.
Thanks, Sam. I'll share my screen now. Yeah. You can see my screen now, right?
Yes, can.
Yep. Yeah. Right. So, good morning, evening to everyone. So I'm Ruchira. I'm not gonna talk about a lot of techniques as such, but I'm gonna share some of my experiments that I did with creative photography, which is not an area that I started photography with. It's something that I got into later on, very recently actually. So to start with, I think all of you have seen these kind of definitions on creative photography. From all these definitions, the thing that I actually like is altered reality, because that's the thing I'm really interested in doing right now, which I'll come into in the latter parts. But just to look at all the creative photography types, I mean, these are all Google images, not my own photography. You can see there are light painting, still life photography, toy photography, food photography, which I have done a little bit. Then there's also in-camera techniques like double exposure, zooms, everything. So I have tried my hand with few of these techniques, mostly setups, but I have not gone into still life, which is sort of my next stage I want to try out. But I'll try to share some of the photographs I have done in the other areas of creative photography. So these are my experiments and learnings, which might help you as well. So my creative photography journey did not start with an interest into doing competitions or creative photography per se. It actually started with buying a macro lens and the Corona lockdown. So with the lockdown, I didn't have any opportunity to go out, no wildlife photography, no traveling, no landscape photography, nothing. So, but I had a macro lens. So my first attempts at macro photography was a disaster. So I was searching for how to use a macro lens and what to do with a macro lens during the COVID lockdown. So I found some interesting things online, and trying out these things, the enjoyment of that is actually what kept me trying these creative photography ideas. So my first attempt at creative photography came with the first attempt I was actually doing properly with my macro lens, that is smoke photography. So these are some of the first smoke photography shots I did. This is a 3-light setup, and going on YouTube, I found out you have to light smoke in a different way to get the exposure properly. So I augmented that, used a few speed lights, and I had some color gel. So I used a red, blue, and a yellow gel in all these photos. So I'll just take you through these photos. I actually enjoyed doing this photo shoot, and I actually enjoyed editing these photos more than the photo shoot, because it was actually quite pleasing for me once I got the photos done. It was quite abstract and something new for me compared to the landscape wildlife photography I was doing. So actually, I enjoyed this smoke photography so much. I actually didn't do any smoke photography after this, because I wanted to keep this as my success and not try to mess it up. So I'm just going through the photographs. If you want me to stop at any point, just let me know. I have the XF data on the right-hand side. All these photos, 3-light setup, blue, red, and yellow gels. So for me,
can we ask questions, Ruchira, as we go?
Yeah, that's okay, I guess, Sam. Or should we take the questions at the end?
I think it would be easier for you to handle.
Yeah. So we can ask questions anytime, no problem.
Okay, so my first question would be that you are saying that you are using the 3 speed light setup.
Yeah.
So I take it that you are kind of using the speed lights in a particular way, and then with different intensities for these photographs. They're beautiful.
Mostly it's the same intensity from three different sides actually. So the red light was coming from the right hand side, the blue light was coming from the left hand side, and the yellow light was actually on top. So I kept some boxes on the side and kept the light higher than the other 2 lights.
And so you're using the remote setup to actually fire them.
Yeah, I have a remote trigger. The other lights are on slave mode.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Ruchira, did you said that you have to move it in a particular way to get this smoke in that pattern?
Yeah. So we are used to using a light in front. No, smoke photography. Actually, what I found out online is you need to light the smoke from the side. If you light it from the front, it does not actually go through the smoke, because the light goes past the smoke and hits the background. When you light it from the side, you get a black background for your picture, and the smoke is lit from the either one side or 2 sides.
Oh yeah, got it.
So just sorry. So this was actually done against a black background, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was using f18, so anyway the ambient light was cut to the maximum I could possibly could.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So that was a success for me, and I actually got into a little bit of more searching on creative photography. And my second attempt was water droplets. So again, this is a 2-light setup. One is a blue light, the other one is a red color light, gels I mean. And then you might see a little metallic texture in the water. That was because I shot this during lockdown. I didn't have a big glass ball. So that's what the other people were using on YouTube, but I didn't have that ball. I was using a cake tray from my mother. So it has a sort of a metallic texture, which actually gave a better look to the pictures, I would say. So again, these were all same light setup, no change in the lighting, simply trying different times to click the shutter. So 2 successful photo shoots for me, because these were my first attempts at some creative photography. So I was taking it into some more iterations after that. So next,
before you move over, Ruchira, how did you actually capture the exact moment? Were you on
Yes, these are all trial and error shots because I searched online. There's actually a trigger for this. You have a laser trigger and a sound trigger where you can set it up. When the water droplet crosses that laser beam, it will click the photo. There's another one where when the main droplet hits the water and creates the sound, it will click. So there are different kinds of setups like that, which I had no access to, and those are quite expensive. So I actually put the water into a little plastic bag, made a small pinhole at the bottom, tied it on top, and let the droplets fall one after the other without any control. So I was just trying to click the exact moment the water hits. So the water is dripping continuously, drop by drop, and I keep clicking.
Okay.
Were you clicking on continuous mode? I think
No, these are all manual clicks. Because
single click.
if I put on continuous, I might not get the speed lights to work.
Yes.
Speed lights recycle that fast. Yeah. If you have access to like strobe lights, you can actually go with continuous lighting, which would be much easier to get proper photos. But I was doing all trial and error on this one.
With high speed sync. Yeah.
No, actually it was it was on high speed sync. Yeah. Right. So on going to my third attempt, I was getting into a little more setups from here onwards. So that's why I actually included the food photography, because we have actually seen much better food photography in our earlier presentations. So, but I just included it here because these were my first attempts at doing a bit of a setup where I went out and found some items, bought the fruits, the glasses, the bowls, the napkins and everything, and I was doing these setups. So it sort of paved way into doing more complicated setups in my next couple of photos. So these are just some of the food photographs I actually did. I'm just rushing through those photographs. Again, this is another photo I did for a friend of mine who actually started the business of doing biscuit pudding. So I just wanted to help her out. Right. So I actually did a bit of setup with the food photography, which is where I actually got into doing more setups and trying more photography. As you may have noticed, I haven't done a lot of in-camera techniques, zooming, double exposures. I was more drawn towards the setups and augmented reality in physical form. So this was my first setup I did. Don't mind the watermark because I did all these photos editing for social media. I've included the watermark there. My first setup was not a major success. I actually used the roti that the plate you use to make roti as the backdrop, and then burnt paper to get the gunpowder and a little smoke, which did not really come authentic, but it was as a first attempt, I enjoyed doing the setup. On the same day, I did another setup. So I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones. So this is a pair of cufflinks I had received from a friend of mine, the dragons. The tagline is fire and blood. So I wanted to do something to show that. As you can see, the fire part came out okay, but the blood was not a success at all. It's just ketchup, and you can see that it does not look like blood at all. But still, wanted to try it out, and you learn from your mistakes. So I at the time I saw it in the back of the camera, and I thought, yeah, it looks fine. But when I opened it in the laptop, it does not look like blood at all. So my third setup actually came from jealousy. This was during the winter time in US, UK, Canada. So they were doing macro photography of frozen leaves, flowers, fruits on the road. So I was checking out macro photography, and I was quite jealous. We are never going to get snow and ice and snowflakes in Sri Lanka. So I was quite jealous. So I wanted to try out something. I wanted to actually get some snowflakes, which was a complete mistake on my part because you can't get that in a freezer. But I wanted to try something. So I was freezing these flowers in ice cubes and trying some photographs. So these were the results I got from that. I shared this photo in the creative group earlier as well. Again, these are again trial and errors. The first attempt to freeze the flowers did not work. Even though in the movies you see people drowning in ice and getting frozen inside ice, the flowers and the leaves and all that are just floating on top of ice and it does not freeze within ice. So I had to do multiple times to get this final effect. So those were actually ideas I got from to do with my macro lens, but I hadn't actually gone searching creative photography at that until now. Earlier, I was looking for how to use a macro lens, what kind of macro photography I can do, how to use my particular macro lens. So, but after that, this was particular probably around the second lockdown period. I was searching for creative macro photography, which I was getting more interested in because I was actually enjoying these experiments. So the next one I tried was soap bubbles. Again, we saw some nice soap bubble photography earlier. So I'll just rush through these photographs. If you have any questions, you can always stop me and ask. Again, this was not as easy as I actually expected. I didn't get the...
Can I ask a question, Ruchira?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what kind of lighting did you actually use for this?
This is actually a single light from the top.
It's a single continuous light, right?
No, speed light.
Speed
I
light.
only had speed lights, yeah.
Okay.
Until this time, I only had speed lights.
Okay.
So it was like 2-3 inches from the soap bubble. So I was holding the light very close.
And no gel, it's just white light, right?
It's just white light, yeah. Because on the soap, you actually get these colors.
Correct.
So couple of soap photographies as soap bubbles. And then I actually was looking for ideas. And there's this photographer called Gavin Huey on YouTube. I actually follow a lot of his workshops. So he was doing something during lockdown period I found quite interesting. He actually was using a lot of color because he had access to a color printer, which I did not. But I tried it with black and white. So that is water glass refractions. So the base is actually acrylic sheet here. This is something I bought from a hardware store where they were throwing away acrylic pieces of acrylic sheet, a black sheet. And the background is a printed paper of black and white.
That's beautiful.
The water actually changes the reflection to the complete opposite side, which was quite interesting because I saw this in his shoot and I wanted to try out. I didn't have the color though.
So it actually acts like a lens, right?
Yeah, it completely reverses the color and also it goes the other way. When you keep the angle towards from left right to left, it goes from left to right.
Beautiful. Really beautiful.
So again, credit to the original person. I got this idea from Gavin Huey from his photo shoot. I tried a few glasses, few types of prints.
So where was the actual lighting from for these
lighting? I actually followed all his instructions on this one. You actually light the background.
You throw light onto the background.
Yes.
Okay.
And you focus on the glass, between the glass and the background, because I was using actually f/22. Otherwise, I could not get the entire thing in focus. I was using a 50mm lens. Here, actually, you light the background to get the effect. It was I think it was a 2-light setup, as far as I can remember.
Did you try it from the back, behind the background, or this is from the front?
This is from the front. Lighting the background from the front. I actually didn't try anything like any lights from the back. Actually, might be a nice idea to try it out.
Yeah, transparent background.
Yeah, you should try that out sometime.
These
So
are beautiful, really beautiful.
thanks. So with that, I actually found another video. This is actually light painting, but I have never done light painting myself because most of the light painting shoots I've done were with models and different vehicles and all that, which I was not very bothered to do. But I found this one video of a completely different light painting shoot they had done. I only actually found one video explaining how to do that, and I actually wanted to try it out. So at one day at 11 o'clock after everyone had gone to sleep, I tried it out, and these were the results. This is actually me. So basically, this light painting is about painting around yourself, and the camera captures the light. This is around about a 2-minute exposure. So what I did was I had a small torch. I found a lid of a Odiclone bottle, which is white and hard plastic. I pasted the lid on top of the torch. So I basically made the beam of light into a ball of light, and I started drawing around myself. So again, you are only seeing the final good images I could salvage, not the entire experiment, because there were a lot of failed attempts in this photo shoot. So I'm wearing full black in this photo.
It's really cool.
Excellent, really excellent.
Again, a lot of things to learn from this photo shoot for myself. I was, as a stupid person, I was trying to do 3D photos. I was drawing behind myself as well, thinking the camera is going to capture the light. So things I made mistakes. Sometimes I drop the torch, so halfway done, the light spins out of your hand. So those kind of learnings. But I actually get these 3 photos from that shoot.
How these are really lovely. I haven't seen this type of thing. Now, how did you know you moved from one hand to another? Obviously,
I switched the torch off because it's a 2-minute exposure. Nothing, there's no other light at 11 o'clock at night. Everyone is asleep. All lights switched off inside the house. Pitch black setting. So when I switch off the torch, there's no light hitting the camera.
Oh, okay. And then you switch it off, and then you move to the other hand and do it.
Yes. So I sort of keep my body without moving, but obviously there are some movements. But still, that's anyway. You'll get a double the size person when you're drawing around yourself. But still, an enjoyable experiment.
No, it's excellent. I haven't seen.
These are really good.
I copied your. I don't know whether you remember. I copied your frozen flowers.
Yeah.
That time, so I think now I have something else to copy if you don't mind.
No problem. Because there's a video on YouTube on how to do this. But basically, you make a ball of light without going for a beam of light, and you start drawing around yourself. You start from, let's say, one leg, go up that leg, cover the other leg, then you cover the entire body like that.
So you said you had used a torch, and then you put a.
Yes, because I didn't have a LED ball actually, light ball. So what I did was I took a lid of a Odiclone bottle, those baby sharing Odiclone bottles, which is hard plastic, and pasted it on top of the torch.
Okay.
So it creates a
Ruchira.
ball. Yeah.
Ruchira, how did you get the 2 colors?
That is from Photoshop. Because
I see.
the torch light is coming white because I pasted a white lid on top of the torch. It's white. The light is fully white. Once I get it in Photoshop, I can add any color I want.
Right. Okay.
Because the white light alone did not actually look that great. So I just wanted to add a little color, make it a little disco. So that's why you see me posing for dances and all that. Right. So with that, I actually found another interest of mine, which I have been doing for quite a while now. That is toy photography. Again, my interest started when I was going through YouTube, Instagram. I found these toy photographers. They were not just taking a toy and doing a photo of that toy. They were creating stories out of those toys. So I wanted to try that out. So I found a few toys And my first attempt was just a simple toy in the grass. Nothing fancy about it, just posing the toy and taking a photograph. That's it. I did not know how to take it forward from there to the extent that the other photographers were doing. But step by step, I tried out a few different settings. So again, another toy photo shoot, but you might say that this looks nice, but it did not come very realistic. As you can see, the wheels are not spinning. I did notice that only after I edited, I posted the photo, everything. Again, experiments and learnings. So I could have put a radial spin on this, radial filter on this, and got the wheel to spin easily, but I did not notice that. So it's a frozen vehicle on jumping in the sky. That's it. So it's not actually a moving vehicle, but still you move on. Again, this is another photo shoot that was popular on Facebook some time back. This is actually shot on a treadmill. You tie a piece of string in front of the vehicle and tie it to the treadmill, and the treadmill moves back. The vehicle looks as if it's moving forward. And the rain effect, I actually used a spray, bottle of spray, what you get at salons. So I keep spraying and keep photographing and combine the photos on Photoshop afterwards. So I was still trying out with the spray can. So creating artificial rain outside in the garden. So still no massive setups, just a figure posed in a particular way, and then the water can being used. No particular setups as such. But the water was quite easy to do, no damages to be had. But I wanted to try out the other effects the other photographers were getting with their toy photography. So I tried out the fire as well. So these are all practical effects, not Photoshop effects. So the explosion in the background is a custom-made firework. I found this firework guy who was able to get it done for me. Poured some kerosene oil on the two sticks in the back and lit a match. The flames from the flamethrower is actually made from a WD-40 can. I spray the can and lit the spray that is coming out of it.
Dangerous thing to do.
But the thing is, it's quite enjoyable, and I sort of kept a goggle on my eyes, and I kept it as far as possible from the flames myself. Only worry was I was actually spraying this can more towards my camera. That was the only worry for me. But this one came out okay for me at that time. I actually didn't burn anything with this photo, but with my other photos, I burned some other stuff.
Very effective.
I actually enjoy the practical effects when it comes to these kind of photography than Photoshop effects, because it's quite easy for me. I am not a very effective Photoshopper, so I tend to go with practical effects more.
Ruchira, the previous image, did you add, not this one, the other one? Yeah. Did you add glycerin or something to make the droplets like this? Or?
No, this is just the water being sprayed. Because I'm using a very dark background, F11. So I'm getting that water droplets in my shot. I actually could have used a slower, faster shutter speed, but I didn't have the light.
Right.
If you change your shutter speed while doing this, you can actually get the water droplets or like water streaks.
Right.
So this was another explosion photography I wanted to do. From my first experience, I was too brave, I would say. I burned one of my characters doing this. You see on the right-hand side, there's a big explosion. So I wanted to get the explosion bigger in this scenario. So I kept the fireworks closer to my figures. And you can't actually see the figure. It's inside the flames completely. So my figure paid the price for that mistake I did. But still, photo was salvaged. The figure was slightly damaged. Yeah.
But just out of curiosity, what was the character out of Marvel that you burnt?
That was a Chitari, same as the one on the left hand side.
Ah,
So
okay.
it's a bad guy, so I don't actually mind burning that.
Okay. Right.
So this was another photo shoot I did with snow. So this is actually a combination of a couple of photos. One photo I used to drop the snow, that is actually flour, and then another photo to get the explosions, that is made by sparklers. If you are attempting snow and fire together, do be careful when you are using flour, because flour is highly flammable, and dropping flour like this will burn quite fast. So I didn't want to do that together. So the snowflakes were done separately, the fire was done separately, and then the two photos were merged. This is another photo shoot I wanted to do in a different manner. It didn't come out this way I was expecting it to. The rocks you see on the ground is actually a part of a road. I was actually traveling to the guy who was doing my fireworks to buy the fireworks. I noticed that part of the road was broken. In Sri Lanka, you don't like pave the entire road, no, you do patches. So one of the patches was damaged. There's no way to salvage that. So on my way back, I just picked the pieces and came home because I wanted to do this entire ground shattering sort of a photo. So free raw material for me.
So how did you actually get the levitation of the figures?
Those are figures held with wires.
Okay.
So in Photoshop, I just edit it out. And sometimes when I'm using this much of smoke, much of the cable is actually hidden. So it's easier to edit rather than having a solid background in the background. And then I actually, those were mostly easy setups to do. Nothing actually I was building up from scratch. But after some attempts, we were getting a very long holiday with the lockdown, a lot of free time. So I was doing construction work. This is actually a piece of cardboard, an old piece of cardboard I've cut into make a window, and a light kept on the outside, creating a bit of strips of light on the stormtrooper. I actually used a little smoke inside the room to get these streaks, otherwise you don't see the streaks. This is actually a continuous light. Again, I'm doing some more setups and more Photoshop edit work as it goes on, because you sort of learn and you try to implement what you learn from the other shoots. This is the background you see is actually a piece of Regiform. I've painted gray. And then the sparks and all that are Photoshop. The scratch marks and the sparks are Photoshop. This was a bigger setup I was doing. The wall is made out of a corrugated board. Again, the setup on how to build this I found on YouTube. So I was just doing the setup. Then I wanted to do like the characters busting out of the wall. So I made a few pieces of brick, and then the brick wall is broken. So that kind of a photo shoot. This actually took some time to build. It was about one full day of building. But again, we were in lockdown, a lot of free time to waste. Another setup I developed for a corrugated board as the backdrop, the brick wall. Two cans of like some medicinal pills I cleaned up and painted as the garbage cans. A small piece of pipe as on the left hand side, and a metal sort of plastic net used as a fence. I wanted to get the light coming through the fence and hitting the wall in like patches. Didn't quite work out, but came out okay. Again, behind the scene photo I just wanted to include just to show that the setup is not as glamorous as the final photo. It's just posing the figures with some cables to hold them up properly. I'm using continuous lights in this scenario. So this is the photo I wanted to do for Christmas, because I wanted to share a customized Christmas wish. And this is the final photo. So this is actually a focus stacked image. I focused on each character because they are in different focal lengths. Because I wanted to get them Photoshop and decide how much each character needs to be in focus at post-processing, not at the stage of shooting. So I focused on each character separately, took 4 photos, and again another photo for the tree, and then combined them the way I wanted in post.
So this was 4 photographs stacked together.
Not actually 4, this was around 6, because I had to take 1 for each character, then about 2 photographs for the tree.
Okay.
Because I was using F4. And because this was again a trial and error, because I could not get the sparkles of the tree to come out properly. So I was trying different shutter speeds, different ISOs just to get it sorted. Then I finally went with this one. Again, a few more setups I've done. The background you see is actually cardboard. This was quite a big setup I actually did. It took me a long time to cut out those circles from the cardboard. But I wanted to build a Death Star kind of a background. And the character is something I recently bought. But again, going into these photographs, these take a bit more Photoshop and background work than my earlier attempts at toy photography. But like I said, you do something, you learn something, and you try to implement it in a much more convenient fashion for your next photographs.
Ruchira, these are brilliant. How do you get the lightsaber to light up like that? Is it on?
That is actually Photoshop.
Oh, that's Photoshop.
Yeah. So the entire character, the smoke, everything is done practical effects. And then what I do is, after I get the photo, I use a red color gel because I'm using continuous light now. I use a red color gel and get some photos of them to show that the light of the lightsaber is hitting the character. And in post, I combine the photos and I add the lightsaber Photoshop effect.
Wow, you have thought of a lot of things, because it does show the redness. Red shows onto the face.
Yeah, because I learned from my previous mistake. I didn't have the wheel spinning of the car.
Mhm.
That was a mistake. So going forward, I try to think through a little bit and also give a little more attention to detail in my post-processing.
Yeah, brilliant. And you have a lot of patience, I must say, my God.
Yeah, it's really really individualistic, a very lot of planning.
Thank you. So with that, I actually come to the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. And if you have any questions regarding any of the photos.
That was highly educational as well as enjoyable.
Thank you.
That was a wonderful presentation, Ruchira. Really enjoyed it.
Excellent work, Ruchira. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Seriously, the amount of effort you're putting to create the sense that you want to deliver from the photograph is like you're truly dedicated to your craft, kind of. It's very interesting to see.
Absolutely.
I actually enjoy doing those setups. There are other setups I have done part way and kept with plaster of Paris, with cardboard and all that, because you sort of enjoy doing those handwork, because you used to do those during school days. You don't remember anything now, so you just learn it from scratch again, watching YouTube videos and trying it out.
I must actually say that I'm jealous of you now doing that ice cube thing, because after 5 years, I'm getting to play in the snow now. So I tried to get the snowflakes with my macro lenses. Several times at -5 degrees, I went out soon after a snowfall. Failed attempts. Everything is a failure so far.
Yeah, there's something very interesting that you can try. try doing bubble photography when it's like in sub-zero
Yeah.
temperatures.
I saw that yesterday, someone doing it, yes.
Oh, really?
It sort of freezes the bubble from a particular point
Correct,
and sort of
correct.
gives the nice,
Oh, maybe I should try that now. So you just blow the bubbles out in the sub-zero the temperatures and take photographs.
Yeah.
Oh, let me try that. Thanks for letting me know.
When you're blowing the bubbles, remember I told you add a little bit of glycerin and maybe a bit of honey. The bubble will last longer.
Yeah.
So it will get time to freeze and have that nice pattern on it.
Okay.
you actually can get that sort of a slow motion freezing effect in those bubbles.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think Sandeep is referring to.
Yeah.
Because you don't get to try that in Sri Lanka, but where you are staying, you can actually try it out.
Yeah, it's around -5 right now, so I think I can actually probably do that. In fact, I was just waiting for it to go down to about -20, which will happen in another week or two, because the water, what is left out, starts to boil effectively, and so there's a lot of smoke coming out. Everything else is frozen.
Right.
So it's beautiful again from a photography point of view, just like your smoke photography.
I think every month we keep discovering and getting new talent coming up. Excellent work. I haven't actually seen anyone who has gone into so much detail, so much thinking and execution. Fantastic work. I'm sure there are lots of things that everyone would have learned today. And there are lots of other questions as well. So I'm sure people are waiting to clarify. Going on to the snow, Laya, I have seen somebody actually throwing water or hot water, I think it was.
Yeah, it freezes.
Freezes, yeah. That's another thing that I have seen. Ruchir, I think these are award-winning pictures that you must be actually. You should be submitting these to the competitions. The
Competition.
Yeah.
What I was actually going to. Yeah, Ruchira, what I was going to suggest, and I think that goes to Sandeep as well, that one of the things that actually came out in some of these members' meetings is that, we have this tendency to go out and take, tens of thousands of photographs and come and actually pick one. I think the two of you have actually shown how important it is to do the planning and think through a photograph. And I think you should actually present one or two of these things at members for a greater audience.
I haven't actually submitted any for the creative category until now.
Oh, you should. You should. You should. Yours is just fantastic.
Thank you. I should try to submit some more photos. Yeah.
These are unique in my. I don't know. I mean, I see some, not as much as the people at the PSSL, but these are just unique.
Absolutely. Like, I think he has a fantastic talent.
Thank you. So again, I do a lot of setups and all that. So I'll be trying out a little more still life photography in the future, because it's another area. And I think we had this discussion earlier before the presentation as well, where you try to communicate a big message through your photographs. So I think I've seen some still life photographs that are like very deep meanings, like a broken neck depicting depression and suicides. So those kind of photographs. So would be trying out those in the future.
Just before we started, Sam was asking what are the things that we could do. One of the things that I feel that would be nice is the focus stacking, and I saw that you have done it, and I've been trying to do that and actually do the stacking in for a different reason. But we could share the stage and actually share each other's experiences in this area.
I think once the Photographic Society premises are available for us to meet physically, kind of not just a Zoom presentation, but a physical presentation where we can always make it hybrid so that you all can also participate, not just look at it. Maybe something like that, Naomi, we can.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
These are very interesting things that can be done.
Ruchira, just one question I asked that is
Yeah.
earlier on that, I mean, basically when you're doing these remote speed light setups, I'm somewhat surprised that you're not actually using the intensity levels of the speed lights to get different lighting effects. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, I use that kind of different flash powers for portrait photography and for the toy photography. But for the smoke one, I use the same intensity because I just wanted the colors to show in the smoke. But for the smoke, I use the same intensity. But for the toys, of course, I change the intensity a little bit because if you use the same intensity in toys, it doesn't look 3D. It looks quite flat from both sides, the same light hitting the figure.
So for smoke, that you use the full power of the speed lights, is that what you're saying?
Not the full power, like half power, but same. Both sides have the same power setting for the speed lights.
Okay, so you do reduce the
Yes.
the flash power to some extent.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. You know, it looks so good. How can you get it with the full power?
No, not with the full power, but like half power, but same settings for the same both speed lights. For
Okay.
the toys that I was showing, I use different light powers for the different sides. Sometimes it's natural light, sometimes it's speed light or continuous light.
So Sam, here is another topic. How to use the speed lights for creative photography?
Yeah, I think Naomi asked probably at one of our very first meetings, first or the second meeting. Was it on WhatsApp? I can't remember, but whether we can do a lighting setup session as well. Let's do that. But it has to be a practical session. It can't be.
No. So there are two things here actually. One is actually that use studio lighting, and the other one is that as Ruchira does, using speed lights.
It
can
probably
be more accessible to most of us.
No, it can be speed lights. But it has to be done in a physical setting.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Great. Absolutely fantastic.
Any more questions regarding the photographs? Or? No.
Okay, Ruchira, then if there are questions. Thank you very much. Sure. Wonderful presentation. I think everyone enjoyed it, and I can.
Very much, and I'm sure he sort of gave us a few ideas, especially Maheen.
Yes, we can expect a lot more creative stuff out of Maheen now.
Make sure that you register the.
I'm now trying to figure out where I can get all my Marvel figures. My kids' Marvel figures are all broken and in pieces. I now try to get ones.
But before that, everyone should be looking at a good insurance agent because if you start.
Yes, the fire and everything. Yeah.
Right.
I actually work in an insurance company, so I set you guys up.
There you are.
See the planning.
No wonder.
Yeah.
He was so brazen.
Thank you again, Ruchira. Now we have to plan ahead for the next month's meeting. The next meeting is going to be on the 18th. I have a question to all of you. We normally have on the second Thursday of the month, but unfortunately, the second Thursday of the next month is also going to be a holiday. I can't remember what it is, but because of that, in the calendar that we shared, it's marked on the 18th. Naomi, are we having anything on the previous day, the 17th?
17th, we will have the wildlife group meeting.
Because if you have two consecutive meetings, one after the other, 2 days,
the attendance might drop, right?
But if you have it on a holiday, does it matter? We can
It
advance.
really doesn't matter as long as it's on Zoom. We can even start it a bit earlier,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
It all depends on like if it being a Thursday, if you all are planning on manufacturing a long weekend.
My concern was about the long weekend. Take Friday off and then
Yes.
majority aren't there. So anyway, let's stick to the 18th as we planned. Any volunteers for the next month's presentation? Otherwise, I'll let pick somebody from the group. Ravin or Yoga?
Sam, I need more time. Give me a little more time. Not this month. At least I need few more months.
Right.
Yeah, I'll do once, but I need a little more time.
Okay. All right. Anyway, since we have a lot of time on our hands, we'll work out something, do something interesting. So the next meeting is going to be as planned on the 18th of next month. In between, I hope that you all will continue to post pictures with the post-processing of the composites that you're expected to do to improve your Photoshop skills. Ravin did share something, and I would like to see the others also taking part in that, because that will help you to improve your skills. And whenever you have a problem, we can sort it out rather than actually going into the next season or the next series of Photoshop sessions. So I look forward to that. And unless there are any other questions,
So I only attended like the first 2 or 3 sessions, but what I learned from it, I created a small post today. I hope you guys will give some feedback.
I couldn't see it. Thanks, Sandeep, for that. I haven't seen it yet. I saw something coming up, so thanks. But others also, if you could spend some time on it, otherwise you're going to forget Photoshop. That's my concern, and that's why we needed to have a break here as well. Right. Are there any other questions or clarifications? Otherwise, we can call it a day. It's 7:30 or 7:40 already. So thank you very much in that case, everyone who joined in. Thanks, Laya, and thanks, Warner. I think Arul has already logged out. Thanks for joining from other parts of the world, and everyone else who joined from and Naomi for hosting this meeting. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everyone.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Bye.
Ravi.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.